Welcome to VPG's Virtual Water Cooler Chat Podcast, a platform that features professionals across a variety of industries and promotes growth mindset principles with a central pillar of championing the achievements of women. Our conversations explore a wide spectrum of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives, creating a vibrant mosaic that enriches our collective understanding and strengthens our commitment to growth and empowerment.
Today, we're speaking with Monica Phillips, president of Spark Plug Labs, a coaching and consulting group, and the director of learning, content, and diversity, equity, and inclusion at CHIPS. With more than 20 years of experience leading strategic business teams, Monica Phillips supports leaders at all levels to create thriving and inclusive workplaces. She is the founder of the Legal Academy on Equity and Inclusion and the Legal Leaders Community on Mental Health and Wellbeing, two initiatives that aim to educate, empower, and support legal professionals in creating more diverse, equitable, and healthy workplaces, as well as a founding coach at the Women's Impact Alliance. In her role at CHIPS, Monica developed and now runs their year-long General Counsel Boot Camp to advance women to the highest levels of leadership. Let's get started.
Welcome, Monica. Thank you so much for making all the way to our podcast studio to do this interview today.
Thank you, Ashley. It's so fun to be here with you in person. I love it. I would sit right next to you normally.
Next time when we have a meal together, how about that? Now, are you going to legal ops?
It's not my favorite place to be, I have to admit, but it's some of my favorite people. So it doesn't really matter where we are as long as we're with the right people.
You mean Fontainebleau?
I'm in Vegas.
Vegas.
No.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
But they always have conferences there.
Always. And I'm going in June for the national yo-yo competition with my son.
There's a yo-yo. Oh, wow, that's
Yes.
awesome.
Oh, and we're going to Prague for the world yo-yo competition in August.
How old is your son?
16.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He got
amazing.
third at the Pacific Northwest Regional Yo-Yo Competition in Portland in March.
All right.
Yeah.
Now
So
that
we're
I
on a roll.
learned about yo-yo in your life.
That is cool. Yeah.
Get started around Monica.
Yo, I do yoga.
Oh, okay, so then you both have a yo.
Okay.
And then there's YOLO. All right. Would you mind sharing with us who you are and a bit about your journey before we dive deep into our conversation?
Oh, where to begin? I'm Monica Phillips. I am the president and CEO and founder of Spark Plug Labs, the spark that ignites inspiration and leads people to action. And it is my mission to create world peace, starting in the workplace, by integrating wellness and inclusion for thriving teams. Because I believe that if we can thrive at work, then we can show up in our communities full of love, full of connection, full of belonging. We can show up instead of road rage. We're smoothly listening to a podcast that we love, embracing every moment. We're living with abundance. We're kind to our family and the people who are closest to us instead of being full of anger and resentment and scarcity. So I feel like so many of us work, and that's where I can meet people. So that's what I'm doing now, as well as I am the director of learning, content, and DEI at CHIPS Network. We advance women in tech law and policy and have about 8,000 members globally, from India to Brazil, across the US, Europe, Canada. It's just an incredible organization. And I'm so grateful to get to work with people who want to do this work, to be showing up in these spaces full of positivity.
Wow. You said it so coherently. I love it. You study international education. How did you put everything together to land the gig that you have now?
I'll share with you my journey because it is interesting. And I think I got really lucky, but it was also, I believe, in this intentional luck. You show up and something magical will always happen, including last night. I didn't really want to go to this networking event. I was at the conference for ATV. I was tired, jet lagged, just wanted to sleep. And I was like, I bought the ticket. I'll go to the event. And then I sit next to a woman. We have the best conversation. And then I meet another woman who could be my soul sister from Houston. And I was like, you know what? There we go. I just had conversations with two women I would not have met if I hadn't gone to this networking event. So you have to show up. But in college, I worked in the Career Service Center on campus, and I had a lot of free reign because there was a small office. And so I started working in the scholarship office. This is the 90s. It was books and microfiche and records, right? And people would come and say, you have to come in and see me. There's a scholarship for you. And then people would come in looking for students to hire for jobs. And then students would come in posting jobs like they were looking for employment. And I got to be that liaison. I got to be like the talent development, helping companies write job descriptions, helping individuals pitch themselves for jobs, helping them find scholarships, helping them write resumes, all at 17 years old. So fast forward, I'm working at a law firm. I've started studying. Well, okay. So before that, so I lived in France for 2 years, and I come back. I'm living in Minnesota, working at the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. And
Minnesota, don't you know?
I was there for 5 years, actually, and everyone who knows me, like some of them think I'm from there because I love it so much. I love Minneapolis. I love Minnesotans. And it was a fun time to be there. And I knew I would go to grad school. I actually, for a very short, not even second, I thought I would get a JD MBA. And I went into the University of St. Thomas orientation and turned right back around. I'm like, that is not for me. So funny that I ended up having a career in law anyway, working with lawyers since 1998. So this law firm hires me in 1998, and they agree to pay for my graduate school. So they've hired me to be their director of marketing and communications or something like that. And I'm studying cross-cultural conflict through the International Education Department at the University of Minnesota. But it was because I wasn't sure what I was going to study at first. So I took a certificate. The University of Minnesota had a graduate certificate. It was 6 courses. It was in rhetoric, but it was kind of free reign. You could take courses from across the colleges. So I stumbled upon this course with Dr. Michael Page, who was my advisor, and he was one of the first to serve in the Peace Corps in the 60s. He served in Turkey and then ended up developing all of the Peace Corps training programs. And I thought, I don't really care what I'm going to study, but I want to work with you because all the work you're doing just aligns with my passion, my interest, my love. So I studied with him. It was incredible. And I studied, and then my thesis was on cross-cultural mediation in the workplace. So how do we resolve conflicts at work? So all relevant, right? And then this law firm, again, fortunate enough to work with people who saw talent over title. This was really pivotal. I was 24, and they said, since you're doing all this work in cross-cultural conflict, why don't you help us create a subsidiary to train executives going global as an affirmative defense to employment suits? So we worked on the subsidiary. I did a lot of the trainings, the marketing, the PR. And then this partner said, oh, you're so good at training executives. Why don't you coach our lawyers on business development? So I'm like, how do I do that? Let me call up Sally Schmidt. Let me call all these people who know something about coaching and marketing for lawyers, and put together, of course, a 12-step program to coach lawyers on business development. And it was wildly successful. And so that kind of followed me through all my careers, even though my title was usually director of marketing, BD, client development. My work was coaching, engagement, client connections, training, mentoring. So we would create mentoring programs. We would pair partners with associates. We would pair associates with clients. We would get people out of their comfort zones into these learning and growth opportunities. So I feel like it's always been that. And now that title matches.
It just, oh my God,
Yeah.
OMG moment. So first, my undergrad was political science and East Asian languages and cultures.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then my master's was interdisciplinary study, because I actually had a professor that put together a program that was on jury consulting, but I didn't want to go to law school. So I'm like, can I do something else on intercultural negotiation or something like that? So he was like, yeah, sure. So I put together my own program. It's officially under East Asian languages and cultures, but I took courses from law school and took different things. And my thesis was on intercultural negotiating styles between Chinese and Americans.
Oh my gosh. So simpatico. I studied with Hamlin, William Mitchell Law School, and Cardozo Law Schools had a program on conflict resolution in Budapest. So I was in Budapest for a summer studying with the former president of Hungary's daughter, Kinga Göncz, an Israeli Supreme Court justice, and students from 22 countries on conflict resolution. And yes, it was fascinating.
I know. And when I did my literature review, Harvard has a program on negotiation.
Yes.
At the time, I started writing Roger Fisher, William Ury, Robert Manuka, and some people from the Fletcher School of Diplomacy. They all wrote back when I was asking them
so
questions.
Awesome. I love that you wrote them.
I wrote them, and like people was like, they're not going to write you back. But no, those people who actually really value education, and they would, especially the big name school, they would actually write back because it's really aligned with their education values.
That's right.
So they each wrote back. I don't know if I still have the letters, but I wrote Seth Godin. Nowadays it's like LinkedIn messages, not like snail.
Seth right back.
Yeah, he did. He was like,
he seems really kind.
I think that sometimes I don't always agree with a lot of things that he said, but what I do value is that he stood by what he said.
Fair enough.
And I think it's important because, like, we're in the legal field, everything is it depends, right? So where do you really stand? It depends. But Seth is, this is what it is. And so I really do like that about him. I have all of his books. Same thing about Adam Grant, as well as Simon Sinek. After I left my law firm job, I started having chances to actually read again. So I listen to podcasts. This is why I started doing this. Maybe I need to practice my English. I think I'm okay.
You did
but
perfectly.
But I think it's the comfort level and the self-conscious level. So let's not talk about me anymore.
That one thing I always wanted to do was work at the Carter Center for Peace and meet President Carter, which I never did.
Do you know anything about the U.S. Institute of Peace?
Only a very little bit. Back in the day, I was really following these organizations a lot, but it happened in years.
So who was this? What? Richard Solomon. He was the president of USIP at one point. So I took my thesis and I made an appointment. He's a China specialist. So I took my thesis, I sent it to him, and then I made an appointment to meet with him and have him critique my thesis.
I definitely want to hear more about this. It's fun.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, more about this. That's
Yes.
really
So you titled today's podcast, Heart-Centered Leadership. What?
That's what I stand for. I think that if we can meet people where they are and see them as humans and put ourselves first, we can create thriving, happy, positive organizations.
Love it.
And I think there's a different, like if we are stressed, and there are different layers of stress, but when we have toxic cultures full of stress, people can't perform at their best because they're in their survival, they're in the fight, flight mode. They're not able to function wholly, right? I even felt that way at the conference. I was tired, sleep deprived. I took a red eye to come here on Saturday night, got in Sunday morning, and then it was nonstop. And by Tuesday, I just needed a timeout. I took a nap, went to the gym, and then I felt so much better. But it's hard. Like people often you hear, oh, just go do some yoga. Like you can't roll out a yoga mat and get wellness and get peace, right? So we need to meet people where they are. We need to create space in the day. We need to be able to acknowledge people. So my big why is, it was probably the worst day of my life. And I called my then boss and I said, this is what's happening and I don't know when I'll make it in. And he said something like, I hope this doesn't get in the way of your work. And I'm thinking it absolutely will get in the way of my work. This is a really big deal. I don't know if you heard what I said, but yes, this is going to get in the way of my work and not for long, but I need a minute. And I just wanted him to say, wow, that sounds really hard. Let me know how we can help you. And instead he said, I hope it doesn't get in the way of your work. And what did I do? Wow, I really don't want to work with or for you ever again. And it was actually that helped me. I mean, the gift was I got total clarity in knowing I didn't want that. And then in creating my business. So I quit my job, moved across the country, went through CTI, the Corrective Training Institute, got coaching certified, and started a business. And I didn't know what I was doing. I figured it out along the way. I made a lot of failures and a lot of successes and created something incredible. And I was so proud of myself for doing it. And then realizing too, I'm sure you've had this experience when you leave this big organization and then you're just you and people hire you and they see you and it's, wow, it's not some big law firm they're hiring. It's not some fancy title. It's me. It's the value I gave to myself.
Yeah, it's total imposter syndrome that I'm overcoming a lot of times. I've been patent litigation for the most part, probably over 2 decades. And before that was construction litigation, but litigation the entire time. And focuses on PTAP the last probably, I would say 12 years-ish. And I just thought that I really love it. I don't like ITC work. It's too fast. It doesn't drive me. But there's something about PTAP that I actually really like. So then I became the litigation assistant coordinator for PTAP at my previous firm.
Right.
And because they need me to do work for other people when they have a 15 minutes like deadline that was like, we need you to help. And if it's not my case, then I can basically say that, no, it's really not my case. But when you're a coordinator, everything is your case. Very smart move. So at some point in 2017, my dad passed.
Yeah.
And I think in some way it's also a blessing for him and then for the family because he was diabetic and he's very principle-minded, which means stubborn, translation. And he always said that he's very principled. I'm like, no, he's just stubborn, but I took that after you, so I don't know that I can actually say anything. When he passed, I didn't really do well, so I avoided emotion altogether, and I was already a workaholic, so I just keep working.
Nice.
And then 2019, I burned out.
Avoider.
Yes, avoidance, classic. And then so 2019, I burned out, and I was like, it's hard for a workaholic. It's like, I really don't want to go to work today. My mom was like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I just really don't want to go to work today. And then at some point, I recognized that I have to do something. And I just cannot perpetually going on vacation because it costs money. And I
Doesn't sound so bad.
it doesn't sound so bad, but I used to have to take my laptop on vacations because people in legal field, that's just expected in some way. And then I had someone that basically made a comment about me being self-important. I'm like, of course I'm important. What are you talking about? But the person actually did do that in front of my peers. He was in a supervisory role.
That's really crafty.
Yes. And then, so at some point I was like, okay. But I was such a people pleaser first. And then I was also had no boundaries. So when you talk about like heart-centered leadership, one of the things that I really like about, I have a lot of good people. So don't get me wrong. There's always a few bad apples. But I have a lot of good people that are supporting me. So that makes it actually difficult to quit. And you can always justify and rationalize. And then in law firms, a lot of times it's, oh, is it money that you want? I'm like, no, it's not money that I want. I could make money elsewhere, but I needed like some time. And I don't want to blame it on others because I need to show them my own responsibility. I need to hold myself accountable. And I'm not refuse to be victimized. And so part of it is that I started talking to friends who are like actually happen to be in a similar situation. And one of my friends actually came out and started her own her own firm. And she does consulting, but trial consulting. And I don't like trials.
Do you guys collaborate and partner with each other? Refer, cross-refer?
We do, because we are not in the same space.
That's great.
She does litigation, go to trial, and then she'll refer people to me for PTAB. And people say, oh, you want a trial? She got you. So we do that because that's what empowerment is about, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know what came over me. And at some point I was like, you know what? I just need to do it because I don't want to regret years later. So I decided to come out and start my own company, and it was 2020, right before COVID. And I was going to take 3 months before I start. But then there was a client calling me, prospective client, and basically, hey, I heard that you're going to start a company. I'm like, yeah, in March. She was like, can you start sooner? I'm like, do you have work already? And he goes, yeah, we're waiting for you to file some IPRs. I'm like, that was amazing. So I basically moved that up 3 months in advance. So that's been very interesting. I think each founder usually something that they have the hurdle that they have to overcome. So I overcome that hurdle of I save my money because you have to basically front a lot of money and you don't know when your client's going to pay you. I don't know about you, but sometimes for law firms and different people is you could do upon receipt, but it would be 60 to 90 days later before you get paid. So at some point, I think that's very difficult for small businesses because that's when people like go belly up because they don't have the money to flow this. Right. I just met 5 years now. 5 years is actually January 2nd, but it was such a journey. And I started in terms of leadership, I started from being a lone wolf because I was such a micromanager. I'm like, oh God, the partner's going to be yelling at me. I need to like make sure all ducks are in a row. and then to make sure everyone on the team is actually in line and what are you doing, trying to be the micromanager that nobody likes.
Is what I see in the legal industry nonstop is this space where people aren't given permission to breathe.
Yes.
Literally, I have coached executives who tell me in a frantic, Monica, I don't have time to breathe. And I'm like, oh gosh, you need to breathe 10 times longer than what I'm suggesting. Just give yourself permission to breathe. And there are people who suck all the air out of the room, who are so toxic that they create this culture that anyone's afraid to even say that there's a mistake. And then when there is actually something that needs to be changed, no one has the guts to talk about it. And we look at this on a really significant level. Like, think about corporate governance, right? And if the lawyers in the room can't say, hold on, I see something that might stand out here, because they're too afraid to say anything, you can end up with a really big problem. So we need to make it okay to say it's not a person who's at fault, it's a circumstance, right? Sometimes the circumstances aren't what we want them to be. And the people can't be blamed because they're human beings, right? But these circumstances have come together that aren't what we want them to be. So can we fix it? And we need to give people permission to be able to speak up. And that's that heart-based leadership, to say, wow, I'm feeling something here. What are we noticing, right? Like, not, oh gosh, sorry, I don't have time to talk to you, right? I learned a new word. I'm forgetting what it is. Phone snubbing, phubbing. Like when you go to talk to someone and you're like,
Well, there's something that I really aspire to do, but I'm not doing it well. Okay. And this is with my mom. First thing in the morning, I check emails. And when I'm actually sitting across from her, I'm much more intentional with friends. But with my mom, I'm not doing that. And I feel that she had some resentment, rightly, because I would be sitting there, I was like checking my mail, responding and anything. And then, so I'm not giving her my full presence. So she always said that, you're not even listening to me.
Yeah.
I'm
like, guilty of that too.
Yeah.
I think one of my challenges for the next 21 days is to have phone-free zones.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially the dining table.
The dining table is a tough one. I'm like,
you have to put them.
When you put them like face down, it's not even be on the dining table.
That's right. Okay. I'll hold you accountable to that.
I'll hold you for the 21 days. Say, how are you doing on that?
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
No phones at the dining table.
Okay.
I'm excited about that one.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just like, I wanted to be present for other people, but sometimes I'm running around and then, I don't know, I never really talked too much about this, but now that I know that you are like a yoga instructor and everything, it's such oxymoron when people, like, especially with breathe. I have people that basically say breathe, because otherwise I would just have anxiety attack. And
I'm meeting the demands of the doing doesn't get us where we want to be. We want to be being, right? Not at the end of our life thinking about the checklist that we accomplished.
Yeah, that's just so good. Did you come up with all that by yourself?
Just now with thought, yeah.
Wow. Better than write it down.
I've had a lot of teachers who filled my head with things, so I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not doing versus you're not your job, and you are your own
title.
Person first. Yeah,
you're not your finances or your bank account or your body shape or your gray hairs. You're none of those things, but those are the things that we're judging and seeing.
Yeah, and people judge you against those standards.
So people will always judge you. Who cares? Let them.
I love it. Let them. Did you read Mel Robbins stuff?
Yeah. Not all of it, some of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't love all of it, but I like the idea of it. The concept is very powerful. And I think it is so important to recognize that we don't need someone else's approval to show up and be ourselves. And I found every time I show up as myself, I find people who want more of that, and I give them permission to be a heart-based leader.
And then it's also a great way to differentiate and separate you from the other people that you don't want. You're not everyone's cup of tea.
That's right.
And you don't need to be.
How many billions of people in the world now? I've lost track.
I don't know, a lot of people.
Right. How many do we actually need? 100? Really? Like, how many relationships can we actually keep engaged?
And then I think sometimes it's so important to be just able to walk away.
And that's the boundaries you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't.
No one
really
else is going to give us the boundaries. And so it's that constant reminder to ourselves to check in, to say, is this relationship serving me? Did I co-create the workplace relationship, right? Relationships in terms of work, family, friends, peers, allies, advocates, right? Do I have the right people? Do I need other people to be in my life who aren't yet? What would that person look like? Are the relationships that I have crossing my boundaries? Do I need to reestablish them?
Something to think about. I mean, sometimes in the moment, especially like I said, I was in litigation a long time and I supported some leading practitioners. A lot of times when you're dealing with very high stake game, and a lot of times people just forget that you're a human being first. And I think it has to do with a lot of the nature of the industry. I actually advocate a lot for my team, but sometimes I put those first and didn't draw a boundary for myself and didn't want to be not liked.
We can say, oh, I don't need to be liked, but the truth is we want to be liked.
Yeah, we don't want to be hated.
No, we want to legitimately be liked.
Yeah, so I think when you're working for other people, it doesn't matter how strong you are, in my opinion, you still have to like prescribe to those norms and culture, and some are better than others. So when you said about the heart-centered leadership, that's what I aspire to do at VPG. And
what does that look like for you?
Early on, I had a lot of people telling me that I'm doing a horrible job. And
I don't believe it.
So believe it. Because it's like, I'm switching from a micromanager and to be an entrepreneur or startup founder. It's like everything has to be me. That thing is not being egotistical. It's just that I shoulder a lot. When you're a manager, you just shoulder that. Other people cannot get it done. You want to motivate, but not everyone can be motivated. And everybody has like different agendas. Yeah. So I think the heart-centered leadership is actually very challenging in today's time because loneliness and the lack of belongingness is so bad. So for me, I try to do more one-on-one meetings. For the sake of efficiency, I like to get everybody on that, and a lot of people advocating like huddles. Well, I don't have time to huddle, but what I actually end up doing sometimes is like for different people, they will have different needs. Some people on my team wants to be like lawyers. So I get them to be working on exhibits, doing proofreading, editing, and other people are like, they're artists. So I just have them do different things, and I'm actually really good at matching people and connecting people with different organizations.
Yeah.
So people that have social media skills that I have some, but not great. So I do know how to write, and I actually enjoy writing so much on creative fiction.
Oh, are you working on a book?
I finished my last book. You want the food I together? It's called the Leadership Catalyst, Igniting Inspired Change.
Love it.
So you have a signed copy, but let me get back to you. Can we talk a little bit about DEI?
Yeah.
It has been such a triggering word, and in those days, people was like very loud and proud, and I was listening to some of your podcasts on Chips to the Point, and where you guys had talked with the folks at Diversity Lab. And nowadays, it feels like that is a taboo to some people.
Well, I understand it. So, and Karen Ulrich-Stacy from Diversity Lab talked about this recently. And I'm not really attached to the words. I think it's unfortunate that there's a weaponizing of the word inclusion. What is the opposite of inclusion? Exclusion. And I recognize that some people have felt excluded by the term DEI. So what is it we want to accomplish? And the hard part is that we're seeing greater homogeneity across all spaces more than we ever have before. So in our workplaces, people who are showing up, and if you are more right and you work in a place that says we support pro-choice, they're going to check out. If you say we've donated money to Planned Parenthood, they're going to leave. And so because of this situation, these circumstances, we're seeing more and more the workplaces that used to be these places where people would come together and have different views and see each other as friends and like each other, that they could come together and connect and say, oh, wow, I like Ashley and she maybe doesn't agree with me on everything, but I respect her and I get that we have these differences and I like her family, and we share these spaces in our community. Now, where we live, it's all homogenous. Where we work, it's all homogenous. We don't really get this chance for civil discourse. And so people who are feeling triggered by the words DEI, well, what is triggering them? They must be feeling excluded in some way. The answer is not to weaponize the word inclusion. The only word I can think of is bonker balls. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, and especially for people that are minorities. I'm a minority. I am a naturalized U.S. citizen. There have been a lot of API hate crime. I came here in 1985, and I was young, and we worked our butt off, basically, to try to learn English and study, do the best we could. My parents did not come from money, so I had to work. That's where the workaholism come from.
Mm-hmm.
They ran a restaurant in Lawrence, Kansas, and so eventually we study and learn to get naturalized as citizens. There were a lot of things that going on right now that I feel very uncomfortable. I'm a traveler, so the fact that it comes across my mind to say, am I going to be able to come back to the States? I don't have dual citizenship. Where am I going after this? It's just that I think in my mind, it's just an extra burden because I really do. I'm going to Alaska. That's not international. I'm going to Alaska in August. But I do want to fit into another, maybe Finland, because I've done a lot of Nordic countries, but I have not made it to Finland. Northern would be awesome. I don't know. I think that fear is something that I don't like because I'm not a really, I'm like nothing venture, nothing gain person. At the same time, if I get detained from another country, what's going to happen to VPG?
It's real. It's a hard time, and I don't have any good answers. And I think as leaders and organizations, we need to be aware of what's happening and how the people in our organizations are feeling, what their realities are, where we're meeting them. So that when someone shows up in the workspace, whether that's on Zoom or in person, that we know how to support them. And that is a reality. Even going to Canada over spring break, I brought 6 kinds of identification, everything. So for my son and I to be able to come back and not have questions, I don't know whether they're target or not target.
Yeah, exactly. And then
my name doesn't match my son's name, so that makes it even harder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. To close it up, so that you could go to the airport and get your flight.
I'd rather stay here and talk with you.
Yeah, I know. But we would do it in Vegas. How about that?
Okay.
We'll do it at dinner.
Sounds good.
And that's the day. So, if you have to give 2 practical tips for people to practice heart-centered leadership, what would they be?
I would say the word empathy, which maybe means a lot of things to a lot of people, but maybe in practice, it's just like a lot like what we're doing right now, like listening. The example I gave, when someone has a bad day, they don't always need a solution. They just need to be heard. In the workplace, sometimes it's challenging them to do more, right? Giving, like you were saying, micromanaging. And I'm thinking most people feel really happy at work when they do something that pushes them beyond what they thought was possible. So that when they get to the end of the day, they say, wow, Ashley showed me how to be more of who I really am and brought out the best in me. That's what I love about this job. It's in everyone. I do think everyone can be motivated. I don't think everyone knows how to find it. And that first step in all of the work that I do is self-awareness. A lot of us have been turned into these, okay, I show up, I do this, I go home, I do that.
Robotic.
Right, but we're not machines.
No.
And we need to embrace.
We are not robots.
We are not robots. And we need to embrace our humanity. And we need to embrace, like when we say humanity, that comes with mistakes. But a lot of workplace cultures don't make space for people to say, I don't think I did that quite right. Can I try again? So the other thing that Sparkplug Labs as an idea means to me is this space where, as a scientist, you come and you experiment in this container that's safe to try things out, figure it out. Maybe you get it wrong and then you get it right. And then you go out and you do that. Right. So it's this container, creating these containers that are safe. And every workplace could be this. We can say, okay, let's try it. Let's practice it. And then there are different levels of risk. So sometimes depending on what you're doing, a doctor performing heart surgery does not get that grace of having a place to try it out and make mistakes, right? There are no mistakes. But lawyers, maybe writing a brief, they can try it out. They can get review. Someone can say, okay, I like where you started. Let me help you change it so you get to my level. That's the mentoring that's necessary in a workplace. That's the heart-based leadership that says, I see in you something that's better than you see in yourself, and I'm going to help you get there.
That's perfect. You wanted to get an example before I have you catch your Uber? I did a post this morning, and we are doing a brand leadership trust in action in-person networking, and CHIPS DC chapter is one of the co-organizer.
Yeah.
And then we have How Women Lead, and we have legalops.com. People taking I love
this group.
So
Love Julie Castro Abrams. Love Connie.
Oh yeah, I met her in person. Yes, and Connie Brenton's awesome. Everything. Yeah. Anyway, I was tired of putting together the post, and so I called my 23-year-old social media strategist. I said, we need to have a collab. So we got on Zoom. We're going through the stuff. I put down or whatever as I'm on a share screen. This what I started reading out loud, because when you read out loud, you know what you had not making any sense. So I said to her, I said that I just threw a whole bunch of words together. None of this really makes sense. There's so much incoherency here. Take it over to ChatGPT and rewrite it, and then we could talk. So she did that. And after that, we did, it was I was like, I don't like this part, I don't like this part, and what do you think about this? So I actually do a lot of that with my team.
That's great.
Like one of the kids taught me how to use Meta AI. It was like, I'll show you, Ash. And then the other one was I was just basically giving them, especially the Gen Zers, they know so much technology, but a lot of time get the really bad rap. So they love me and I have mutual respect for them. So I think that was something that changed significantly. Now that I have my autonomy, I just have to practice it because I know I'm accountable.
Everyone
I don't have
wants
anyone.
them.
Yeah.
That reverse mentoring is so powerful. We can learn that we don't need to put someone in a box around age, right? Older people can offer wisdom and different life experiences. Younger people can offer new technology. There's so much exchange of information that is necessary. And if we start to label people and say what they can or can't do because of circumstances that we don't understand, we'll miss the best parts of someone. I love that.
I love this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if anyone, now I know that you do the Director of Learning Content of NDI for CHIPS. Do you also do consulting? So how do people find you? On LinkedIn?
SparkPlugLabs.co. I'm also organizing the first ever Lafayette Yoga Festival. I'm a little over my head, but we've got a great lineup of yoga teachers: Annie Carpenter, Mel Salvatore Auguste, Dave Leroux, Liz Shriver, Tiffany Nelson. It's going to be incredible. Bhakti SF is coming to do Kirtan.
Oh my
and
God.
it's in this gorgeous space overlooking the reservoir. We've got a stage, some grass area. It's going to be beautiful.
Wow.
Yes. So that's a new experience for me. And
Well,
it's coming up soon.
yes. Well, breathe.
Yeah, exactly. I need to do more working.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Monica. I have something for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, a pink bag. And it's signed. Oh my gosh, I
I
love it.
also gave you an Olympian
I love
autograph
it.
picture.
Wow, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. The picture, she's Gallatin Olympian that I brought over here to do a Ice, Grit, and Grace fireside chat with Megan Raymond
Wow.
on a rooftop at 17th Street.
How fun.
I know. And then it also happened to be our 5th year anniversary celebration.
This is so
So
much
it was
fun.
amazing.
Oh my
and then
gosh.
there's something else in there too. There's a planet dapple duck. And then there's another one that I think that would be so awesome for you.
Ooh.
I went to a retreat once, and this is something that it was really good to engage your participants.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to
Yes.
find out what these are all about.
Totally.
Thank you.
Okay.
Exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Molly.